To import Google Analytics e-commerce tracking, start by setting up an e-commerce account in Google Analytics. This involves enabling e-commerce tracking in the View settings of your Google Analytics account. Navigate to the Admin section and select the view where you want to enable e-commerce tracking. Click on E-commerce Settings and toggle the Enable e-commerce switch to the On position. Next, you need to set up the data layer on your website. The data layer is a JavaScript object that stores information about the products and transactions on your site. This information is then used by Google Analytics to track e-commerce data. You can set up the data layer by adding a small piece of JavaScript code to your website. Once the data layer is set up, you need to implement the e-commerce tracking code on your website. This code sends the e-commerce data from the data layer to Google Analytics. You can use Google Tag Manager to implement the e-commerce tracking code, or you can add it directly to your website. To implement the e-commerce tracking code using Google Tag Manager, create a new tag in Google Tag Manager and select Google Analytics as the tag type. Configure the tag to fire on the pages where you want to track e-commerce data, such as the thank you page after a purchase. In the tag settings, select the e-commerce tracking type and enter the data layer variable names. After implementing the e-commerce tracking code, test it to make sure it is working correctly. You can use the Google Analytics debug view to test the e-commerce tracking code and see if the data is being sent to Google Analytics correctly. You can also use the Google Tag Manager preview mode to test the tag and see if it is firing correctly. Best practices for importing Google Analytics e-commerce tracking include setting up the data layer correctly, implementing the e-commerce tracking code on the correct pages, and testing the code thoroughly. It is also important to make sure that the e-commerce data is accurate and consistent, and that it matches the data in your Google Analytics account. In summary, importing Google Analytics e-commerce tracking involves setting up an e-commerce account, setting up the data layer, implementing the e-commerce tracking code, and testing the code. By following these steps and best practices, you can accurately track e-commerce data in Google Analytics and gain valuable insights into your website's performance.